How's it going, everyone? This is the full interview that I did with Richard, the creator of SQLite. If you haven't seen the full documentary that we did on the main channel, then definitely go check that out. A lot of the video was already created when I reached out to Richard, but basically the same day, he agreed to kind of hop on a call and talk to me about things. And I felt like it was just a really productive conversation. We ended up talking about why he put the prayer at the top of his files. We talked about the Turso manifesto coming out. We talked about his philosophy behind open source, and even talked about his thoughts on AI and programming, which wasn't included in that whole thing. One thing to note is that I am not an interviewer. I never expected this thing to kind of be live. So go easy on me. And yeah, next time I'll definitely be a bit more prepared if we were doing it. So yeah, let me know what you think and make sure you subscribe.
Lewis, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you. How you doing, Richard? How you doing?
Real well, real well.
How's your day been? You said you had a busy day yesterday.
It's a busy week.
Yeah. Yeah.
You'll hear about it in the news soon, I imagine. Or if you follow the SQLite mailing list, you'll hear about it soon, I imagine.
Okay, cool. Yeah,
yeah, lots of excitement. How are you doing? What's going on? I looked at just one of your videos, not even the whole thing, and that's not because I'm not interested. It's just that there have been more pressing issues.
Yeah, than watching my videos. I was hoping that
very well done. Very well done. Do you do that all yourself, or do you have a team working on it?
I mean, I started off doing it myself, but yeah, we have a team that works on the videos, but I still work on the videos a lot too. Here, one second. This light is getting crazy here. I'm in the studio right now, but yeah, we do a lot of the videos like with a team. So it's me and usually two other people. Someone helps me with the writing, and then the other person helps me with the editing and like the motion graphics and stuff. But
so this is a full-time job for you?
Yeah.
This is your day job.
Yeah, this is what I do.
That's great. I'm so glad you're able to do that.
Oh yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, it's honestly such a weird thing because I found like a weird pocket where like, I create like kind of like more cinematic videos for developers, I guess. So it's like, it's like this really weird thing. So, yeah, there's been other opportunities that have come from it, like outside of like YouTube, like, working with like tech companies
and they say, hey, do our documentary for us.
Yeah.
I get how that works. Did you just kind of stumble into this, or did you start out thinking, I'm gonna put some videos on YouTube, and it turned into a job, or did you set out to do it this way?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it started off on TikTok. So I used to do videos where it was like I would have my phone and I would point like my phone camera at the screen and be like, here's a open source project I like doing, right? And then like when you just do that every day and you're like, oh, I can maybe add a little bit of motion graphics. Oh, I can maybe do this. I can do, and then like what, 3.5 years later, it just kind of compounds and here you are, right? So it's honestly been great. But I mean, enough about me, you know what I mean? I appreciate you looking, but how are you doing? I mean, first of all, thanks again for all you've done with so actually I was going to ask this first here. Is it SQL or is it SQL, the classic developer?
I pronounce it SQLite.
SQLite. Okay.
But you know what? I might be the only person in the world who does that.
Yeah.
So you call it whatever you I don't care.
The guy that's like he made the GIF or whatever, but he called it GIF, and he turned out to be the only person that named it GIF. It might be that, it's kind of like the same thing here, but yeah, like a little bit of backstory on what I'm doing here is like, obviously I have you saw what I've done. I like to kind of give stories, and my videos are definitely more tailored to a general audience. I would say it's kind of like, the developer community enjoys it because they get like a good story out of it.
That's what I took away. It's you're telling a story.
Yeah.
You're not trying to teach people things. Well, you are in a way, but
for sure. You're
a storyteller, and you do a really good job of that.
Oh, well,
writing is excellent.
Oh, well, I appreciate it. Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah. It's Yeah, because like these technical blogs that these engineers write are they're so good when it comes to like the technical detail, right? But because like there's a big
It's not entertainment.
yeah, like if you're a developer maybe, but for the what's it called, for being the um like for what it is at the moment, right? Like that's it's hard for someone to kind of understand the depth of it when when you know you start seeing those diagrams and stuff. So it's been pretty interesting. But just quickly too, you're okay if I record this meeting?
It's fine.
Okay, perfect, awesome. Um, cool, awesome. Well, I mean, let me just go open up because I had just a list of things here. I want to be mindful of your time too, because
Yes, don't worry.
obviously,
Now,
um,
you mentioned that you had done a video on it on SQLite. Have you done it and not released it? Are you in production now, or what's going on?
we're in production now, like, or just about. Like, we basically, I kind of like finished up a script here. It's basically
Yeah,
a linear story of like how it started, right? And it's kind of like the hook of it is like this is something like this is a software that's on all devices, but you don't know about it type of thing, right?
yeah,
The classic kind of thing. And so it kind of starts off with like how it got started to kind of like where it is nowadays. And like uses basically you as the main character throughout the whole thing to kind of like show that. And so um a lot of it I went through like probably like between 8 to 12 podcasts or something like that between you and some other other developers, or like I would have gone on the documentation or gone on some articles. So I did some research on just like your past, your history, your life, and as well as like the whole process of SQLite to kind of tell like a engaging story from beginning to end. But yeah, it's definitely it's a lot of fun. We have a video out right now. I don't know which video did you watch specifically?
the GitHub Atom editor.
Oh, okay, the Atom editor. Yeah, so that's a good
Yeah, and I haven't
example.
finished watching it yet. I just
Yeah. Well,
we've
that's
had a crisis going on, but that's okay. Don't worry about that. Yeah,
yeah. It's like yeah, it's honestly yeah, it's gonna be a video kind of like that where it's more like storytelling. But of course I'll just quickly ask you some questions here just so we can get started. But like you obviously, a lot of the times when people talk about this story, and I have done videos, sorry, in the past about SQLite, it's on my shorts channel, but like nothing to this scale, kind of like right here. Um, but yeah, so like you started this project, or at least like the roots and seeds of it started out when you were doing contracting on the USS Oscar Austin. Is that correct?
yeah. I was a contractor for um, General Dynamics,
Hmm.
and then General Dynamics was contracted with Bath Iron Works,
Hmm.
and Bath Iron Works was building DGG 79.
Yeah.
And so what happened was they had a damage. There was a damage control system.
Hmm.
It was just an information system for the sailors, so that if they take damage to the ship, you need to be able to turn valves and circuit breakers off to isolate the damage, and then turn others on in order to get
Hmm.
necessary support to critical systems. And um, another company had been Bath Iron Works had contracted another company to develop the system, and they had spent I don't know how many millions of dollars and really didn't have anything to show for it. And
Yeah. Because the
I was
database was.
just
Oh, sorry. Go on.
and so I came into uh, General Dynamics brought me in to try and work on that problem, and I came up with I showed that the problem was NP complete. Of course, that doesn't help them. They want a solution, not academic excuses.
Yeah.
So I had to come up with fast heuristics, which wouldn't guarantee an optimal solution, but would guarantee a good solution.
Mhm.
And I was able to do that. But all the data to compute this was stored on an Informix database.
Right.
And software that I wrote to solve this, they double click on it to bring it up, and if the Informix database engine was down, I'd paint a dialog box that says
Hmm. Yeah.
database unavailable. And that would happen, and they'd call me up and complain that my software. broke. I'm thinking, this is not a good situation. I don't want to take the blame because some system administrator took down the database engine. And I thought, why do I need a separate process to store this data? Why can't I just read it directly from the disk myself? And that way, if the machine is healthy enough that they can double click on my application, it should be able to read the data, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there were no SQL database engines available that would do that, at least not that I could find.
Yeah. And this was before Google searching and stuff too, right? So like it wasn't like you can go on like GitHub now and search like
No, I had to go to the local university library and research there. Yeah, and in the defense, I knew nothing about relational database technology at the time. Nothing at all.
Mhm.
And all that research I know now was happening at MIT and Harvard and at Berkeley.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'd been in Boston or been in San Francisco, I probably would have been able to find the information I wanted, but I wasn't there. And so I had to make this up myself. And I wrote this thing up and it just went viral.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I never imagined that you could make money doing this.
Mhm. Yeah. And just to be clear too, because that was something in the script I wanted to, because like, that obviously the irony, I mean, it's less, this is often like what big tech companies do now as a way to, get their stuff popular is open, so, making free software to eventually like hook them in somewhere. But like back then, this was kind of like, if you made free software, you don't, it's just simply free. So like, so your way of monetizing at the time was through like these big contracts. That's correct. And I think the first one here, once I'm just gonna pop open my script here. Was it Motorola that was kind of like the first big one that you did?
Yeah, that was the first. I had no intent of monetizing it to begin with.
Right.
It was several years in. I just got a phone call out of the blue from Motorola. And at that time, they were the world's leading manufacturer of cell phones. This was back in the flip phone era. Okay, we didn't have smartphones back then, and said we want to put SQLite on all our phones, but we need some enhancements. And can you make these enhancements? Oh, sure. I'll do a contract, and I just did a fixed price contract to do that. And a little bit later, America Online contacted me, similar type thing. Hey, we want to include. This was this might you're pretty young, Lewis. You might not remember when you would get a CD-ROM from America Online in the mail, in the
Right.
post every week. Hey, put this CD-ROM in your computer in our community. So I flew up to meet them in Virginia, and hey, we want to put SQLite on all these CD-ROMs, as part of our package. But we need some enhancements. Can you do that for us?
Hmm.
And a few contracts like that, just bits and pieces here. And I guess I don't have any business sense. I probably seriously undercharged both of these people and the others as well. But to me at the time, it was all the money in the world,
Yeah, absolutely.
And
And like that was like, I mean, I think I'm just, maybe it didn't, did you say it was roughly like you said $80,000 or something like that for the Motorola stuff that you did, or was that just?
it was in that range.
Yeah.
And I hired 3 other people to work with me on that.
Yeah. That took up the budget.
Yeah, I thought, man, this is great, man. Can you imagine I'm making this much money? But later on, SymOS, because that was the operating system that's on all the Nokia phones and a bunch of the other phones. They wanted to put SQLite on their phone, their operating system as well, and they told me that they had a bake-off. They had 10 different database engines. And this is them telling me. I have no first-hand knowledge. The other 9, 7 of them were closed proprietary. SQLite and 2 others were open source, but all 9 other than me all had the opportunity to tune their database for the operating system, but they had a big bake-off, and I won. And I didn't even know this was happening. And so they flew me over to London, and we had a little talk, and, "Hey, we'd like to okay, we'll support you." And they told me, "Oh, you need to found a consortium because we want to increase the bus factor of SQLite." Do you know what that means?
Yeah, it means if you get hit by a bus, what's happening?
Right. Yeah, the bus factor was too low. They wanted me to so they said, "We're gonna start we want you to start a consortium and get a bunch of companies to do this." And, they lined up some people, and it was originally a big mess. And it's some and I don't remember how this happened. Somehow or another, Mitchell Baker at Mozilla got wind of this, and she calls me up and said, "Richard, you're doing this wrong. Let me let me let me tell you how to do this." And she's, all this big open source thing. Look, and she essentially wrote the consortium agreement for me. And so I started the consortium, and a lot of companies joined that. And so at that point, this became a full-time job.
Yeah. And that's like kind of like many years after it kind of came out, I guess you could say. Like, this is not like, 6 months after. This is probably what,
No. This is 6 or 7 years after the fact. I'd have to go look up the date.
Yeah.
But since that time, I've been able to keep several people employed full time, and that's all we do.
And I was gonna say, because like that, because the bus factor is a good kind of indicator, and I have a question specifically on that. I mean, it's funny, it's such a dev thing to be so cynical about. It's just like, a lot of people would call that insurance. Other, developers would say, if you get hit by a bus, what happens, right? It's like, okay, this a little it's just funny, but let's see here. So yeah, because I think something that you said in one interview, or maybe a couple, is that you pledged to support SQLite through 2050. And what does support actually look like then at that point?
Yeah, that's unclear, isn't it? The way that came up was this was in 2010, and I got a call from Airbus, and they were developing the A350 at the time, and they wanted to use SQLite in the avionics. And they said, "Well, can you support SQLite for the life of the airframe?" This is 2010. I said, "Well, how long is that?" 40 years, they said. Sure, why not? And just to be clear, they did purchase support from us for a few years. They have not. They never had any issues. They dropped that
Right.
in short order. But still, I mean, that was sort of a milestone. I mean, I said I'd support it for the life of the A350 airframe.
Yeah,
At least try.
yeah.
Legally obligated to do that, but it seemed like a worthwhile goal. And if you take the date of first code and add 50 to that, that's what I have personally chosen as the end of support date.
Right.
And I think it's I'll have to look at May 29th, 2050.
Yeah.
So something like that.
There's what's the date again? You know how there was obviously the Y2K problem, right? And then is it like 2036 right now? That's kind of like the new version of that.
That's when you need either an unsigned 32-bit integer or 64-bit integer to keep track of the number of seconds since the Unix epoch.
Yeah. Let's
I don't know when that date is, but I can figure it out if you need to know.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying, like, let's just hope that no one has switched over to that. Switched over by the time 2050 happens.
All our date time logic in SQLite is good to the year 9,999.
So are you supporting it till then? So I got another question I have here too, and obviously you know about this because this was this caused some controversy online. But why a prayer instead of a license?
A prayer rather than a license.
Yeah.
Well, all right. So this was in The first version of
28.
SQLite, it was just the SQL parser, and it used GDBM, the GNU Database Manager, which is key value store, for storage. And GDBM is GPL, not LGPL, GPL. So it infects the whole thing. So version 1 of SQLite was GPL. It had to be, no option. But GDBM is it's a hashing store, and I wanted to be able to do range queries, and for that you need a B tree or something like that. And so I said, well, I'm going to change the backend to something different. I looked at Berkeley DB. The documentation of Berkeley DB was such that I recognized I'm going to have to write test programs to understand how it actually works. So I thought, hey, I'll just write my own. Why do I need to write all these test programs to understand somebody else's code when I can write my own, right? So I did, and that was SQLite version 2. And when I did that, I dropped this dependency on GDBM, and I could choose any license I want. And at that time, there was the GPL, there was the Berkeley license, and there was the MIT license. That was it. We didn't have 5 billion different licenses like you do today.
Right.
And I looked at the MIT and Berkeley, and they're really open and everything. They're great, but there's a bunch of legalese and all of this stuff. Why do we need any of this? What is the point of this? Why can't I just say public domain and be done with it? I wrote every line of code this myself. Let's just call it public domain. And so I did. I did not understand at that time, because that public domain is sort of it comes out of British common law. And so it's well understood in Britain, Australia, United States, and places like that. But in other parts of the world, it's not really a concept.
Right.
And if I'd known that then, I probably would have just gone, the Berkeley 2-clause license or something. But I didn't know. So I just said public domain. And I needed something to put in the header comment. So I came up with that cheesy blessing. And I put it there. And because SQLite became such a widely used product, as far as we can tell, it's the most widely used software library in the world today. It is accepted as an open source license. If there's the people who maintain codes for all the different licenses, there's one for the SQLite blessing.
Yeah.
And so I did it that way. Would I do it differently knowing then what I know now? Perhaps, but it's worked out.
Yeah. I mean, it was also just kind of like, what's it called? The intentions behind it were just kind of like, you know what, like, and who would have known, I guess, that is such like a touchy subject, I guess you could say, in terms of like licensing. It makes sense, I guess, now, but
you have all these license wars. People get really all bent out of shape. Oh, you're using the wrong license. Why?
Yeah.
Look, dude, there are so many serious problems in the world. Why?
So like, I guess, when we're talking about licensing and stuff, one of the things that SQLite, it's not because you guys don't have like it's not open contribution. It's just very much like you avoid kind of like the standard pull requests and like all that kind of stuff. It's very much like a gated type of thing, which, and obviously SQLite's in your guys' favor has worked out for so long. But obviously you know about Turso. They forked it called it, what is it called? Is it called libSQL, I believe?
That was their first fork. Yeah.
And they created a manifesto with it as well, which came out in 2022, I believe. And although, the sentiment, like, it definitely paid respect to SQLite in the sense, what was your reaction to that at first? And
I don't know. It seemed they're very good at writing documentation. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Hasn't libSQL more or less been abandoned at this point. They've moved on and they've got this new thing where they're rewriting the whole system in Rust.
Yeah, that's kind of like the complete like rewrite to kind of like avoid any of the kind of like similar, because this is what you did, right? You rewrote so much of the dependencies that SQLite depended on so you could kind of like avoid any issues, I guess, with it, right?
Yeah, well, and so it can control it,
Mhm.
and that's actually worked out really well.
A- And I think
No,
that's what
every
they're doing with the again, I'm not 100% sure, but from what I understand, I think that's what they're doing now with the Rust project, but still keeping it open contribution and stuff.
right. So,
So your reaction, I guess, yeah, your reaction at first.
well, every 5 years or so, there's somebody that comes along and they get some venture capital and they start pushing their product, and it seems like everybody they're not colluding on this, but everybody comes with the same slogan. 10 times faster than SQLite.
Mhm.
It's really before them. There was another one, and it's now been 10 years. I've forgotten the name. Um, it's a different database. It was a row store. I forget the name. It'll come to me in a minute. But uh, everybody's doing this all the time because we're apparently the king of the hill. We're the ones to knock off. And I just, you know, every morning I wake up and I'm thinking, well, this will be the last day. Somebody's going to come up with something better than SQLite, and the ride will be over.
Right.
But it just keeps going.
Mhm.
And maybe tomorrow everybody will start using Turso, and the ride will be over. I don't know, but I'm going to keep doing this as long as I'm able to.
Do you
Uh,
do you see, because I think in the manifest, because I think when I read it, when I looked at it at first, part of me was kind of thinking like, obviously the venture capital, the how developers necessarily are when it comes to competitive aspects. But part of me was wondering, in your opinion, do you see some complaints that maybe they had towards their like, that they had as understandable? Or do you find that a lot of the times there's maybe just not like a lot of basis behind kind of their motives behind it, if that makes sense?
well, yeah, I mean, the manifesto talks about how we need you need to develop software according to the GitHub model,
Hmm.
and there's certain licenses that you have to have, and your code of conduct needs to read a certain way, and if you're not doing it this way, you're doing it wrong. And fine, if you want to do it that way, that's fine as far as I'm concerned. I don't want to do it that way.
Hmm.
And turns out I get to choose how I do it myself. How I write my own software, and that's not the way I want to do it. And if you want to do it that way, that's fine. Um, I, 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 I'm not saying that one is better than the other. What we've done at SQLite has seems to have worked out really well.
Hmm.
Um, it certainly works really well for me. I would not have had. I enjoy doing this, and
Hmm.
I don't think it would have been enjoyable if I'd spent all my days trying to deal with pull requests and trying to maintain other people's code. That's think about a pull request. What is a pull request really? Suppose you had a pull request for SQL. Hey, I've got this new feature for SQLite. Here's the pull request. When you're wanting me to pull that into the tree, you say, "Oh, it's free." No, it's not free. Um, what you're doing is asking me that I have this cool feature, and you want me to maintain it for you, to document it for you, to test it for you, to maintain it for you for the next 25 years. That's not free. Linus Torvalds is famous for saying, there's free as in beer and free as in speech.
Hmm.
But there's another kind of freedom, free as in puppies. Oh, look, I've got a free puppy for you. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
You see where this is going. A pull request is a free puppy.
Yeah. And then you just got a kennel at the end of the day full of puppies. Yeah, you're just like
Yeah. And you can't just throw them out. Okay. You're morally obligated to take care of them for their natural life.
Yep. Uh,
I know I don't want any free puppies.
no.
That's and I don't know that I think there is a lot of politics involved with that, and if that's the way they want to be, I mean that's fine. It's show us,
Mhm.
demonstrate that this is a better way to do it. Prove me wrong.
Right.
I've been wrong so many times. This could be the next place moment. So far, the way we're doing it seems to be working pretty well.
And why do you think that SQLite, because you brought it up in this call and even in the different interviews I was listening to, that like, so many different competitors come up and you keep thinking, um, like, is tomorrow going to be that SQLite is obsolete, right?
Yeah,
So why do you think that after all these years, what's 25, 26 years or something now, that like why do you
it'll be 26 in 2 more months. Yeah.
yeah, why do you think that SQLite is still here and not been, obsolete or even close to it?
I, well, I I have no explanation other than divine providence.
Mhm.
I, why did I get the privilege of having this job for the past 20 years? What did I do to deserve nothing?
Mhm.
I you know now I mean there are some factors that would lend me to do it. I'm a decent programmer. I'm not the best in the world. I can point out to you several people who are better than me. Some of them work for me. but but um I'm very stubborn, and I'm very uh I, I I have my own way of doing things, and I'm not willing. I'm willing to question the conventional wisdom, and these are kind of prerequisites to getting to where it is. But more than anything, this is divine promise. This is the blessings of God. This is I did not have. I'm just along for the ride.
Right.
Been having lots of fun doing it, but it's not. I spent a lot of time thinking, well, if I had to do this, how could I have done this? How could I have made this happen better?
Mhm.
The inescapable conclusion is that I didn't have anything to do with
Mhm.
making this work so well.
Mhm.
It just happened, and I'm grateful. But
Do you think maybe the fact that, you just kept like you kind of just kept building. I mean, the idea was good, obviously, to begin with, right? Like people obviously, and just to be clear, the first time that you saw SQLite kind of truly be used in a setting that made you think like, oh my god, it was on a Palm Pilot, is that right? Like someone online.
yes, some online forum or somebody said, they said, "Oh well, I'm running an SQL database on my Palm Pilot. No kidding, this is not a joke." Yeah, and that encouraged me to work on it more. That's what you call geek cred.
Right. And
Uh,
like just after that, like you
or
kept
no, that's
building.
called ego boo, is what that
Yeah.
it's ego boost. And oh, hey, people like my because I put other open source projects out there on my website before, and they get 5 or 10 downloads per year. I mean, and then suddenly people are interested in this, and that makes you feel good about yourself, and so that encourages you to work on it more.
I think you might have said this somewhere as well, but obviously we're talking, when we talk about Linus Torvalds and yourself, obviously, we're talking about a very small group of people who maintain such a large project, and obviously with you've kept it very small, and we talked about this sort of when we were talking about the Turso kind of model that they're looking for. But do you think that um the fact that you kept the team so small was, and like you were able to say no to more things and you were able to say yes to things, might be a reason why you might have been there?
Definitely a factor, and the factor there is just my own limitations.
Mhm.
I'm not good at dealing with people. I'm more the type that, look, put me in a room with a computer and push pizzas under the door. Just
Yeah.
let me work the problem and leave me alone.
Yeah.
Um, Dealing with a large number of people, especially programmers, on average, tend to be difficult to deal with.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, that would not have been an enjoyable experience, I don't think.
No, definitely not.
And I think Linus deserves a lot of praise for managing to pull that off for as long as he has. That's great. I'm glad he's able to do that because I prefer Linux as my platform.
Is that what you're using now?
I'm talking to you on a Mac,
Okay.
but I do all my development work on. I'm currently using Mint Linux,
Okay, cool.
and I've got a Windows machine here and
The whole
Windows ARM
shebang, huh?
machine. I've got a Power PC up here. You got to have it all.
Yeah.
But Linux is definitely the best platform on day-to-day use,
Mhm.
in my opinion.
Yeah.
And so I'm very, very thankful to him for dealing with all of the political nonsense that he has to deal with in order to bring me this wonderful operating system. Thank you very
Right.
much, Linus. But I don't have that skill set. That's not something I would have done well at. And this segues into the whole point of Git. And I don't use Git for our project. I wrote my own version control system called Fossil.
Right.
And of course, Git has come to dominate. I wrote it about the same time as Git, but
And what's the reason? But because this is something I've also noticed when looking into your story, is this this aspect of like writing it, always writing something yourself. It's like the best tool for the job is the one you write, and so you have your own version control, you have all that. And so what's in your head? Why is that exactly?
well, I don't write everything that
Yeah.
I didn't write my own C.
Yeah.
Um, but no, uh, writing Fossil, my version control system, uh, I did I did not understand at the time that I wrote it how what a huge win it would be. Once again, I'd like to say that I had the foresight that this was going to be such a huge help.
Mhm.
I did not. I thought I was going to solve some other problem, but uh, it's been such an enormous help to us. I could not have taken SQLite as far as it is without Fossil,
Mhm.
for a number of reasons. One of which is that Fossil is built around SQLite,
Right.
and so it becomes our beta test platform. And it's helped me when I'm working on Fossil. I'm using SQLite from the point of view of an application developer, not
Right. Right.
I'm looking at the from the other side of the interface, and it really helps my perspective of seeing the struggles of the users, and it's helped me to make the product much better.
Mhm.
But also, Fossil does a lot that Git doesn't do that I need to do in order to manage the project. And but Git, if you look at it, is perfectly designed for the development methodology of the Linux kernel. You could not come up with a version control version control system that works better than Git for the Linux kernel.
Mhm.
But not every project is the Linux kernel.
Right. Right.
And for a small project in a walled garden like SQLite, Fossil is far superior.
And that's just, you just felt like a lot of the times the tools you needed to be tailored towards your thing.
Yeah. Yeah, and so as problems come up and we needed new features, that I was able to do that. Another example is that the parser generator, or the Fossil SQLite does not use Yak or Bison
Mm.
to develop the parser for the SQL. It uses one that I wrote when I was in graduate school, called Lemon. and it's used by nobody other than SQLite. But that's fine. But I was able. If I've been using Yak or Bison, I'm constrained by the limitations of Yak or Bison. With Lemon, I can enhance the parser generator to deal with specific problems that I'm having in the language.
Right.
I'm able to do things that Yak and Bison will not do. And I can make those changes. Whereas if I'm using somebody else's tool, I can send a pull request, I guess, or
But that could not be, and then you're forced to use a fork that doesn't get updates and stuff. Yeah.
what it boils down to is there's a fundamental idea. Freedom. We value freedom.
Mhm.
If you really think about it, freedom means taking care of yourself. And people go backpacking and they're walking through the woods for weeks on end, carrying everything they own on their back. Yeah, we're running over. Don't worry.
Oh, no, it's all good. I'm just checking my camera to make sure that I keep having to look over in case sometimes it's not recording or something. But I'm good on time. I want to be respectful of your time.
No, I'm okay. So you talk to people who like to go hiking. They put everything on their back, and go hiking through the woods and sleeping in dirt and whatever. And I think, why do you do that? And inevitably they answer, well, it's just the freedom of being out there on your own.
Yeah.
What do they mean by that? It means they're taking care of themselves. They're not stopping at a hotel or anything. They're everything they go. That's really what freedom means: taking care of yourself.
And that's your philosophy behind your tool. Is that what you're saying?
Well, no, it gives you more freedom when you're providing your own tooling. You're taking care of yourself. A corollary of that is none of us are completely free. We all depend on each other to some extent.
Right.
But I depend on Linux for my operating system. So,
And the world depends on you.
are the horde of people who put Mint Linux together for me. Thank you, people. I really do appreciate that. I depend on my local grocer to give me food. Well, I pay them for it, but still, there's a lot of people I depend on. But if I can reduce the number of dependencies, that makes me more free.
Yeah. And so how do you feel that now that, the whole world depends on SQLite in that sense?
Well, yeah, yeah, I do worry about that. But being completely open is public domain.
Right.
And part of the design rules is we try and document the code carefully. It's what 1/3 comment,
Mhm.
and not boilerplate comments either. Comments that actually explain what we're doing, what the data structures mean, and why they work.
Right.
Hey, here's the thought. Go pull down some of the code coming out of Turso.
Let's see.
Just pull out a bit of code from theirs and tell me what it does.
I mean,
you can do this as an exercise later. Yeah, so I take the philosophy that I want to write code that's understandable by people not yet born.
Mm-hmm.
I want to write code that lasts longer than I am.
Right. And
I want to write code that outlives me. Mm-hmm. And the way to do that is to document it carefully and test it carefully. The other aspect is test. You can never have too many tests. Mm-hmm. And the way we've been able to keep SQLite going for so long is that we test it so incredibly thoroughly. Without our testing, we'd never be able to maintain it.
And that was because of the aircraft contract. Like you had to implement it on some sort of really, basically it could be a weapon essentially.
Oh no, anything that gets within 10 yards of an airplane has to be tested
to the absolute max.
Very rigorous standards. I say that. I mean, that's what I was told. If you look at a modern airliner, and or you look at any modern airplane, and both the pilot and the first officer have tablets there, Macs, mm-hmm. iPads running ForeFlight. Okay. And I'm pretty sure that nothing on that iPad has been tested to the FAA certification
Yeah.
levels. And I'm pretty sure that ForeFlight doesn't meet that standard either, but they all use it.
Right.
So this thing that this idea that everything on an airplane has to be tested like that is a nice fiction, but it's gonna. But anyway, I found out about DO 178B, and I decided to try, and I had this idea. I'll make money. I'll test the DO 178B standards, and I'll sell the testing artifacts and make money that way. That did not work out like that. We haven't made any money from that. But what I did find is when I tested the DO 178B level, the bugs just largely went away. This was during Android development when I was doing this. I was doing the original testing while Android was being developed, and
Right.
we had some contracts with him, and they would send us bug reports like daily.
Right. I actually read that, and
As
then
I got it to 100% MCDC test coverage, which is the standard we meet. The rate of bug reports coming out to Android just really fell off.
and like how many would you get? Like how much was it like from the start versus how much was it after?
I don't have hard numbers for you, but it got to the point we just didn't hear from them.
Right. So it's kind of like, you got so many a day to like almost like you'd wake up to it to like you wouldn't hear from for a couple of weeks or
Right.
something.
Now there was another big surge of bugs that popped up when Michael, forgive me, I don't remember his last name. It's the Polish guy who developed American Fuzzy Lop, the fuzzer.
Okay.
Profile guided fuzzing. Once profile guided fuzzing came onto the scene, then we had a whole new round of bugs that we had to fix. So that was a whole other issue. And because it turns out that DO 178B level testing does not find the kinds of bugs that
Yeah. Well,
that fuzzers find. So we had to deal with that issue too. But once we got that issue cleared, and that was good too. Now we've got a whole new crop, a whole new category of bugs, which are bugs found by AIs.
Yeah. Oh, well, I was going to ask you this last because I don't think it's going to like pop up in the video because it's not necessarily relevant, but I'm just curious about your thing too, but I'll ask that after. I was going to ask you, let's see here. I was going to say, so your wife, Ginger, you guys married in 1994. Is she still the president?
We swapped titles around.
Yeah, because you're the head of research.
Today, I've got to sign this tax form. What do you want me to put? Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
I typically, when I'm asked, well, what's your title? I say, head of research is normally what I say. But look, everything's a team effort.
Of course. And what?
We're a small organization, two C-level executives, and we live together. So we swap titles daily. Yeah.
Right. And what does she think about all of this?
Well, she's happy. So, I mean, she's a musician. It's really funny. All the musicians in the city, whenever they have computer problems, they call her.
Mm-hmm.
Because even though she's not a computer programmer, she's lived with me for so long that she kind of understands them.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, she's starting to fix bugs on her own at this point.
But here's the thing. See, she speaks fluent musician. So she can explain to the other musicians how to work through their computer problems.
Oh, like in
ways that I never could. Yeah. And honestly, in our area, and Ginger's kind of famous locally here, and people don't know who I am.
Right.
People see, aren't you Ginger's husband? They have no idea that I wrote the most widely used bit of software in the world. I'm Ginger's husband.
Yeah.
I'm cool.
That's when you got to tell them, I was like, excuse me, I wrote I wrote a database that you might be using.
It's a greater honor to be her husband.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And I think that's about it in terms of but I wanted to ask you, obviously, because this is just something that everyone like. This has just kind of been changing, and I think for you specifically, considering you have this philosophy behind like write your own tools, uh, do it, and this is where like the irony kind of comes in because with AI, you can write your own tools, but B, you don't know the code that's being written in them, at least most of the time. So what's your thoughts on this exactly?
Yeah, anything I tell you about AI today, um, I'm liable to give you a different answer tomorrow
Right.
because we just don't know.
Hmm.
I use AIs all the time.
Hmm.
Very useful. I asked,
Like the chat interface kind of thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
to chat with them. Um, funny story. I asked ChatGPT once because I was thinking about the question of short circuit evaluation of expressions
Okay.
because the SQL language doesn't do that by default.
Hmm.
And I went on ChatGPT and I asked this: how do the various SQL database engines handle short circuit evaluation of expressions? And of course, it gives you a term paper,
Yeah.
a million answers. And I was listing what, SQL Server does this, Oracle does this, Postgres does this, get down to SQLite. And it says, now, of course, you wrote SQLite, so you know this, but, and then it was, and I'm like, wait a minute. How did you know? It was a little bit creepy,
Yeah. The fact that you can claim you can be anyone, you know what I mean? Like I'm Brad Pitt, you know what I mean? It's like, but you know all about that. It's like, like the fact that I can
A
personify
little
that.
weird. But the what my experience with the AIs and these questions is that they're a wonderful resource to help you find stuff.
Hmm.
Uh, you cannot believe what they say.
Right.
They're a lot of times they're right. A lot of times they're dead wrong, but they sound very convincing.
Hmm. Yeah.
I heard one pundit told me that we've had AI for thousands of years. We've just always called it sophistry.
Mm.
That was a brilliant observation.
Yeah.
Now, is that going to change in the next month or year? Maybe. I don't know. We had a bug report on the forum just today, and it was a real bug. It hadn't been released. It was it was I'd done an optimization, and in the process I made a mistake and uh, introduced a bug in the process, and it found the bug. And from the email address, which is not public, I could see the email address.
Right.
It came from a company and with a name that maybe suggested this entire email was generated by an AI.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
It found the bug and it wrote the message and it posted it on the forum.
Hmm.
Now, later on, we did find a guy with this name, and so we think maybe that was it. But it made me wonder if they've gotten to the point now where they're actually logging onto the forum and posting bug reports for the bugs that they find,
Yeah.
and I can't tell that it's not human.
There's
Um,
my my wife's friend, she's a copywriter, right? At like
yeah,
a bank here. And she says that the biggest thing she hates about AI is the M dashes, how like that's now the signifier. But she says like I loved using them because they were a good like right, but now she can't.
yeah, I think they
Yeah.
are.
I got one last question here too for you. If a young developer said they wanted to fork SQLite and build something better, what would you tell them?
I Lots of people have tried. You're welcome to try. You're welcome to try. Uh, uh, I think that time has passed, but I it takes 25 years and it takes maniacal devotion to the cause.
Yeah.
It's not something you're going to do in your bedroom this weekend.
Yeah.
But yeah, probably learn from it. There've been a number of people who've tried that, and they'll post about it and they'll start threads on Twitter or now it's called X,
Yeah. Yeah.
unless they've renamed it again.
Yeah.
Why does everything that Elon Musk does have X in the name? What's the deal here?
No idea. No idea. Yeah. We-
um, but uh, yeah, no, I don't. I was very fortunate to undertake this project at just the right moment in time,
Mhm.
and it worked out spectacularly. I don't see this as something that is reproducible today. I really don't know where software development is going in view of the AI thing.
Mhm.
Um, it's not going to go away, but will it become an artisan thing? I don't know.
Have you used the coding agents? Because I know you talked about the AI chat, right? But have you used like the coding agents that
Not the one specifically designed for that. Go off and write this program for me. But I do ask the chat things. Hey, I need some code that does a. Hey, show me how to write the code that will do a 128-bit unsigned integer multiply
Mhm.
on a machine that doesn't have that opcode.
Right.
And that's faster than figuring it out for myself.
Right. And then just like dissecting the pieces or something, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and so stuff like that. It's great for, and the funny thing is, you got to check it because just the other day I asked one of the chat bots to do that, and I said it needs to be portable across operating systems. Oh, it butchered it. It looked really
Mhm.
good, ran fine on Linux, crashed and burned on Windows,
Right.
running cards. Ended up rewriting the whole thing myself, but it was useful to me in that it kind of focused my thoughts and showed me what I needed to do on the various platforms.
Right. Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, I think that's about, I mean, this has been a huge help for the whole, the video. I think just having you, talk about it and stuff has just it just makes it a lot more, uh, I always like the human, it's funny because we're just talking about AI, but like the human aspect of it is so important. You know what I mean? Especially when it comes to the software that is so
Bring
abstracted.
out That's what your whole channel is about, right?
Yeah.
Bringing out the human aspect of. Have you ever read the book, The Soul of a New Machine?
I have not. Let me go ahead and look that up. The Soul of a New Machine.
Yeah, it came out in like the 1980s, early 1980s, maybe. And
Who's it by?
I know you're asking. It came out in the 1980s. I'm supposed to remember the author. It was talking about the development of the Eclipse mini computer
Okay.
at who developed Eclipse? Was it Data General? Yeah, the Data General Eclipse.
Hmm.
And it was this very technical thing, and he cast the whole thing in a very human side and talked about the relationships and all of that.
Mhm.
And that's what your blog does, isn't it?
Yep. Yeah, it's yeah, I always like to say, because like beforehand I did a lot more technical kind of things, I guess you could say, but it was more like, you know, switch to entertainment because that's what people want to watch. And then I think, yeah, like a lot of the times it's trying to answer the why versus the
Mhm.
what, so
But show the human aspect of it. And you're uniquely positioned to do that because you understand the deep technical parts.
yeah,
But you have this talent that you can convey these ideas or the interesting ideas to a wider audience.
yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, I appreciate you saying that. That's the goal, at least, you know what I mean? So
Good.
I'm glad that it comes across as obvious. So
Well, I've
um
only looked at that one video.
yeah.
Yeah, okay. As I have time. Yeah, and one more. I have closing remark. You got to make me look good.
Yeah. You will not believe what this person just said. No, absolutely. No, I mean,
Yeah, the guy who did. I got interviewed for co-recursive. Did you? Is that one of them that you looked at?
yep, yep.
He made me look so good. I'm just so. I forget the guy's name even, but
So what you're saying is I got to make you look kind of bad.
No, no, you need to make me look as good as that one did.
I need a sound bite of you saying something. Actually, you know what? The part where you talked about puppies, I'll cut it at a point where he says like, puppies, I throw them out or something like that. I'm like, there we go. No, I only ever want to say the truthful thing. So, I mean, I think the whole story like flows in a way. You know, the video will bring up the couple moments of controversy, like we talked about, like the blessing part as well as the
Are you going
um
to talk about the when they tried to cancel the project? Do you know about
uh
that episode?
I don't think so. What is that exactly? I mean, I might have it here. What one are you speaking about?
I think it's in 2016.
26.
Somebody discovered our code of conduct.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's the blessing part, isn't it? Or is this a whole separate kind of thing?
No, that's a whole separate thing. The
Oh, okay.
blessing, as I wrote back in 2001 when I changed to open source, the code of conduct controversy came out like the 2016 or something like that.
Okay. Do you want to just go on? Here. Actually, you know what? I'm just gonna do a thing right here. I'm just gonna read it. I'll read you out the headings of everything that I cover in the video so that maybe you can let's see. So this one's called The Start, and this one talks about like how your Informix database just, was annoying. And just quickly, meant to ask you.
I don't mean to throw shade on Informix. I mean, it could have happened with any client server database.
Oh, it's all good. They were convicted of corporate fraud anyway, so there we go. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Did not know that.
Was the error you're getting from those? It was just kind of like you would just can't connect to this database.
Right, yeah, because the server was not booting up, and so you try and connect to that TCP port, and nobody was there to listen. So
And
what
so,
do you do?
And then the next one is called The Rise, and we talk about like, someone talked about putting on a Palm Pilot, and then you get a call from Motorola, then was it Nokia, I believe? Yep, Nokia, and then AOL. And
AOL came before Nokia, but yeah, whatever.
yeah. So yeah, I'm sorry, I don't have the order right. I'm just kind of going based off of this. And then
sure, whatever.
and I talk about how like you did like oh yeah, for AOL you did a thing where you tried to make a feature, temporary indexes, but it failed when you did the presentation halfway, but you somehow were able to like divert their attention away from it.
No, I was talking to brag about the new feature. We were in the meeting up in, they're outside of Washington. What is their headquarters? In Virginia. They're in Herndon, Virginia. I forget where it is. Whatever. And we were in a meeting. I was getting ready to brag about the new feature for temporary indexes, and as the brag was about to come out of my mouth, I suddenly realized, hey, that really won't work, will it?
Yeah.
My mouth was already open. I came up with another sentence to fill it in its place.
We talk about, so the Bake Off. I talked about the Bake Off here with Symbian. Let's see here. Then Google, of course, right? And then we talk about the whole like Android, because that's where most people are going to resonate the most with like the software. And then let's see here. Trying to see. So then we talk a little bit, because a lot of the time, a lot of the video is like it's trying to like talk about a story that's not traditional, in a sense that like, because like especially like my age right now, a huge part of like the culture that kind of came up in software development was like, the social network, right? Mark Zuckerberg or like, one of these like billionaires who started with venture capital or something like that. That's kind of like the inspiration. So it takes like a lot of critique in that, especially with like MongoDB.
Just for the removal of doubt, I am not a billionaire.
No, definitely. And I think that's like where this is like the strength of the script, because it talks about your more humble story versus kind of like the traditional, like, I just got $2 billion of funding and now I just created this gigantic thing, so it's just a position of that. Then we talk about kind of like the SQLites, more small team, and how like it's like,
Ethos of the project,
yeah, and like how it like doesn't let out outside contributors, or
Well, I mean, we do take some. It's just a high barrier to entry.
exactly, like just
Yeah.
in the comparison to most things, right?
Right.
And then that obviously,
We tend to churn free puppies. Yes.
yeah. Uh,
To spurn free puppies.
and then let's see. So that was that. And then we talk about the blessing, but I think that might also talk about the code of conduct
Okay.
as well. But then after that, like the reason for the last section with like talking about that kind of thing was was talking about the ending specifically when we get more into the modern times when like people start like wanting to fork it, which is when we kind of get into the libSQL stuff.
Blessings upon them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Take
um,
it, do it. I mean, it's entirely up to you.
yeah.
Yeah.
And like, I think it's been oh, actually 1 second here. Okay. Sorry. 1 second. I gotta head over, or I gotta head out right now because I'm being too loud. My wife's saying that it's too loud upstairs, or because I'm in my basement right now. But yeah, that's the whole script right there, and just about, and but I think it's gonna be a fantastic video, and I appreciate your time for going over this with me.
All right, well, thank you for letting me going over it.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, I'm excited to see
You'll,
what.
you'll of course send me a link when it comes out, right?
Of course, I'll send you the link. Yeah, that'd be silly. You might see it by accident before I even send you the link too. Who knows? Cool. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I really appreciate your time and thanks so much. It's been
Sure.
an honor.
Yeah. Keep doing good work. Your
Yeah.
videos look really good.
Yeah. And let's keep in touch too, because I just love I love just this conversation, period.
Where are you based?
Canada, Ontario.
Okay.
Yeah. So Eastern. Yeah. And you're from Charlotte. Is that right?
Charlotte, North Carolina.
Yeah. Cool. Awesome. All right. Well, see you later, man. Thanks so much.
Ciao.